What British spies said about the price of keeping secrets. Deep in classified files, one conversation changed everything about wartime intelligence. Trust no one. Reveal nothing. Live two lives until one destroys you. The message intercepted at midnight. The agent who vanished without explanation. The code they couldn't break. What they discovered would cost more than they imagined. The silent war behind the war. While armies clashed on battlefields, another conflict unfolded in the shadows. British intelligence officers operated in a world where one mistake meant the end. They couldn't tell their families what they did. They couldn't trust their closest friends. Every conversation was a test, every letter was read, every phone call was monitored. These weren't soldiers in uniform. They were ordinary people living extraordinary lives. A secretary might be breaking enemy messages. A businessman could be running agents across Europe. A teacher might be listening to secret transmissions late at night. The work demanded everything: your identity, your relationships, your peace of mind. One slip could expose an entire network. One careless word could eliminate fellow agents in distant cities. And on one particular night, everything changed. A message arrived at headquarters just after midnight. What it contained would reveal the true cost of keeping secrets in wartime. The midnight transmission. The message intercepted at midnight came from an unexpected source. British listeners working in a hidden facility picked up an unusual transmission. It wasn't from the enemy. It was from one of their own agents, deep inside occupied territory. The message was brief, just a few sentences, but intelligence officers immediately recognized something was wrong. The code was correct, the identification matched their records, yet the phrasing felt off. Small details didn't fit the agent's usual pattern. Was the agent under pressure? Had they been discovered? Or was someone else sending the message, pretending to be them? The team faced an impossible choice. If they responded, they might walk into a trap. If they stayed silent, they could abandon an agent who desperately needed help. Every minute of delay increased the danger. The decision they made that night would haunt British intelligence for years. But first, they needed to understand what had gone wrong. The double life no one could sustain. Living as a spy meant carrying two separate identities every single day. At breakfast, you were a normal citizen. By afternoon, you were handling classified material that could change the war's outcome. By evening, you returned home pretending nothing unusual had happened.
The strain broke people in ways outsiders couldn't understand. Agents couldn't share their fears. They couldn't celebrate their victories. When they succeeded, no one knew. When they suffered losses, they grieved alone. Families noticed the changes. Wives wondered why their husbands seemed distant. Children asked why their parents looked worried all the time. But the agents couldn't explain. The secrets they carried created invisible walls between them and everyone they loved. Some agents started making mistakes, small ones at first, forgetting their cover stories, using the wrong name, mentioning details they shouldn't know. One agent's mistake would prove more costly than anyone expected. His story reveals why keeping secrets sometimes demands the ultimate sacrifice. The agent who disappeared. The agent who vanished without explanation had been one of Britain's most valuable operatives. For 3 years, he sent reliable information from deep behind enemy lines. His reports helped stop several major operations. His intelligence saved countless lives. Then suddenly, silence. No messages, no contact, no explanation. Headquarters waited. Days turned into weeks. They sent careful inquiries through other channels. Nothing came back. It was as if he had never existed. Some believed he had been discovered and eliminated. Others thought he might have been turned, now working for the other side. A few wondered if he'd simply walked away, unable to bear the pressure any longer. But months later, A new piece of information surfaced. It suggested something far more complicated. The agent hadn't been caught. He hadn't switched sides. He had made a choice. What he discovered forced him to choose between his mission and something even more important. That choice revealed the impossible burden every spy carried. The unbreakable code. The code they couldn't break appeared in dozens of intercepted messages. British codebreakers, among the finest in the world, tried everything: mathematical analysis, pattern recognition, frequency studies. Nothing worked. The messages kept coming, week after week, always the same format, always the same impenetrable structure. The team knew these transmissions contained vital information. They could sense the importance. But the meaning remained locked away. What made this code different? Why couldn't a usual methods crack it? The answer, when it finally came, wasn't about mathematics or technology. It was about human nature. The code worked because it exploited something the codebreakers hadn't considered. It relied on personal knowledge that couldn't be written down or analyzed. Each agent had shared something with headquarters before going into the field, something unique to them: a memory, a phrase, a private joke. The code used these personal connections. But when agents faced unbearable pressure, this personal code created an unexpected problem. It revealed emotions that intelligence work demanded they hide. The cost of perfect secrecy. British intelligence officers learned a terrible truth. Perfect secrecy came with a price that couldn't be measured in money or resources. It demanded pieces of your humanity. Agents stopped trusting their own instincts. They questioned every friendship. They analyzed every conversation, searching for hidden meanings. The skill that kept them alive in the field began poisoning their personal lives. Some couldn't turn it off. Even at home, surrounded by family, they remained on guard. They listened for inconsistencies in their children's stories. They wondered if their spouses' questions meant something more. The paranoia became a survival tool, and survival tools, once sharpened, cut everything they touched. Headquarters received reports from handlers. Their agents were changing, becoming colder, more isolated, more distant from the people they were supposed to be protecting. The work that required them to hide their true selves was slowly erasing those selves entirely. One conversation recorded in classified files captured this transformation perfectly. What a senior officer said would haunt everyone who heard it. What they said when no one was listening. In a secure room late one night, two experienced intelligence officers spoke freely. They believed their conversation would never be recorded, never be shared, but wartime security meant everything was documented. Their words were preserved. The senior officer spoke first. "We ask them to become ghosts, to live in the world but never truly be part of it. And when the war ends, we expect them to simply return to normal." His colleague responded quietly, "Some of them won't be able to. We've changed them too much. The lies become more real than the truth. The cover story becomes their actual life." They discussed the agents they'd lost, not to enemy action, but to the weight of secrecy itself. Men and women who simply couldn't carry the burden anymore. "We are creating people who can't exist in peacetime," the senior officer finally said. His next words revealed the moral question that haunted British intelligence throughout the entire war.
The question no one could answer. How many lives is one secret worth, the officer asked. How many relationships? How many years of normal existence? When does the price become too high? These weren't abstract questions, they were real dilemmas faced every single day. Every time an agent was recruited, someone decided that person's life would never be the same. Every time a mission was approved, someone chose secrecy over safety. The intelligence services couldn't function without secrets. Nations couldn't protect themselves without hidden knowledge. But the people who carried those secrets paid in ways that never appeared in any report. Some agents succeeded brilliantly, completed their missions, and returned home. On paper, they were victories. But many of these successful agents never fully recovered. They carried invisible wounds that never healed, trust issues, constant vigilance, and inability to connect with others. The price of keeping secrets wasn't paid once. It was paid every day, for years, sometimes for entire lifetimes. But the final revelation in those classified files showed something unexpected about human resilience. The legacy of silence. Despite everything, most agents would choose the same path again. When interviewed decades later, after the secrets could finally be shared, they gave surprising answers. Yes, the work had been difficult. Yes, they'd lost parts of themselves. Yes, the burden had been almost unbearable at times. But they'd also prevented attacks, protected innocent people, helped end a devastating conflict sooner than it might have otherwise ended. They'd paid the price of keeping secrets, but in their minds that price had meaning. British intelligence learned vital lessons from this era. They improved support systems. They developed better methods for helping agents transition back to normal life. They began acknowledging the psychological cost openly. The files revealed one final truth: secrets always demand payment. The question isn't whether to pay, it's whether the cause justifies the cost. What British spies said about the price of keeping secrets wasn't a complaint. It was a warning for future generations about the true cost of protecting nations through invisible wars. The true cost of espionage goes far beyond what British intelligence officers receive in payment. The risk and reward of spy work can't be measured in currency alone. Confidentiality demanded sacrifices that changed lives forever. UK intelligence operations required absolute secrecy, and agents paid with their peace of mind, their relationships, and sometimes their identity itself. Understanding this hidden value helps us recognize the real burden carried by those who protect nations from the shadows. Their story reminds us that some prices can never be fully calculated or repaid.